Good day. Today I'm going to be discussing Chapter 3 of Spring Framework, Working with Data. So in this chapter we covered reading and writing data with JDBC. So JDBC basically stands for Java Database Connectivity. So it's already in the term itself, it helps us connect and interact with the database. How we interact with the database is we declare specific methods in a file called repositories or repository interfaces. So the repository file has code that helps us interact with the database. Has specific methods that are declared in the repository interfaces. You use those methods like finding data, selecting specific data, and also retrieving data. So that's what the repositories help us do, helps us connect with and interact with our database. Hence why it's called Java Database Connectivity, JDBC. Working with Spring Data, JDBC, like I explained, persisting data with Spring Data, JPA. So that's basically what we covered in this chapter. Cool, so let's see how the application works currently in chapter 3. So I'm going to go to the design page. Here I have the design page with the ingredients that I can select to create my taco that I want to order, and I can name it anything. Taco. As soon as I submit the taco that I created, it takes me to orders current page where I can put in my order details to order the specific taco I created. So I go ahead here and I place my basically my details, right? So place my address, then I put my credit card details. So like I explained in the last chapter, there's a specific format that takes place in order to put in the right credit card details, and then it allows you to, it takes in that data essentially, and saves it to the database. So expiration date, so declare the month and the year, then a 3-digit code, and as soon as you submit the order, so as you can see here, it shows an error because there's a specific format that I didn't meet. So you can see here it says please correct the problems below. So the problem is here, the state. So over here, the state must be a two-letter code, right? So okay, cool. Then that means I can put KL there, and when I submit, it works and saves my data. Immediately redirects me to the home page. But since I created a taco and I made that specific order, you can imagine that there should already be like order details where I can see the order that was made, right? So in order to see that, I'll go to the H2 console over here. So this interface is where I'm logging into the console where I can interact with the database in order to retrieve data to see or to test and see like the results after creating a taco, to see the ingredients that I used, to see the ingredients saved to the database, to see the order details that were saved, and so on. So it helps me interact with the database directly to retrieve and save data to the database and from the database. So over here I have this JDBC URL that I have to input. That helps me connect with the database. Username and password can leave empty. Connect, and it's logged in. So here's the interface that helps me interact with the database. So I can run simple SQL queries that helps me retrieve data. So for instance, let's say I want to directly retrieve the order details that I just made, right? So for instance, let's see, taco order, I can basically say select all from taco order, right? And let's say I also want to see the ingredients I used for the taco that I created, for instance, right? So input there, select from ingredients, which is this table, and it's going to retrieve all this data. Taco order is going to retrieve all this data for my specific taco order, right? And let's also retrieve a specific taco that I created, right? So as you can see here, and yeah, and when you run that, okay, now we have all our details here. So because I selected from taco order, you can see the taco orders that I made today. So for instance, made by Tom, the delivery street, the city, all those fields. You can see the credit card number I placed all there, and when that taco order was made, shows the date for this one as well, right? So you can see this is my order checkout in a way. Then the ingredients that were used to create the taco that I made. Oh no, actually this is just all the ingredients that are available to make a taco. And then this is the taco that I created, right? So I basically created 2 tacos today. So yeah, that's how the application works so far. So let's jump into the code and see what this chapter is about exactly. So this is a simple the architecture of the application right now currently. So we have the Taco Cloud application. This is the main program that you run, controllers, templates that show our data, the domain models that structure our data, repositories which help us interact with the database, as well as the database itself that stores the data. So firstly, the Taco Cloud application, which helps us run our program, of course. Then I have domain models, which I explained in the last chapter. They hold the structure of the data. So it has no logic and no SQL, but it's simply the blueprint structure that holds our data, that holds our information. So it's the taco order, ingredients, and ingredient ref. Okay, cool. So this is where repositories come in, which is mainly what we're actually covering today. So what repositories are it's like the data layer. So it handles the saving and the loading from the database. So saving the data in our database and loading the data from our database. Just like I showed directly over here, here in this H2 console interface. This is where I was interacting with the database. The functionality behind the interaction and the process of interacting with the database, the functionality comes from the repositories files, which has the code to save data and to load data, right? So how do I implement this? Well, first you define what needs to be done in the interface, right? For instance, an order repository interface. Then you implement it using Java database connectivity. So the order repository. So Spring will inject the right implementation into the controllers. So it also interacts with the controllers, which handle the logic in order to interact with the database, of course. So let's see the different repositories I have over here. So for instance, the first one here I have let's start with ingredients, because that's basically what we use to add ingredients to our to designing the taco. So this ingredient repository, it's basically an interface, right? So it's an interface that defines how ingredient objects are going to be saved and retrieved. So you can imagine already that if it's defining how ingredient objects are saved and retrieved, it will obviously use maybe a save method that is declared here. And to retrieve the data, the ingredients, it uses find all. Uses find all. This method was executed as soon as I basically ran this SQL query. What it did is it selected all the ingredients from the ingredient table. So, and then I got all the ingredients. So then what happened is this find all method ran and it found all those ingredients. So that's what this interface is doing essentially. That's all it's doing. But all these methods are going to be used by what? It's going to be used by the Java database connectivity repository, the ingredient repository. This is what actually interacts with the database directly. So this is going to provide simple SQL operations to load and save ingredients to the records. And row mapping is handled by a helper method for cleaner code. These imports are made for SQL exceptions, list, optional, and all that. And then we import repository, right? So we can basically so it's essentially just gonna help us interact with the database. So when we declare it here, we then declare our clause JDBC ingredient repository, and it's gonna implement ingredient repository, which is what I explained here, so it can use these methods, right, to interact with the database. We have a constructor here. This is gonna inject JDBC template to run the SQL query. So as we can see, the JDBC template being this over here. Then find all method helps us find all the ingredients. How? By using a select statement, as you can see here. Then it returns the JDBC template. Then here, this method, find by ID, helps us retrieve one ingredient, but you do that by finding that ingredient by its ID. So we say select ID from ingredient where ID is equal to, and then whatever the ingredient ID is, essentially, and then you get that as a result. Then we have the save method, which helps us save ingredients to our database. So when we designing the taco and we input ingredients and we submit the taco, then those specific ingredients are saved to the database essentially. Or even before that, this method just saves all the ingredients to the database, so we have ingredients to select from essentially. That's done here with this insert into ingredient. So that's what the save method does. So in our controller, right? So for instance, let's see, design taco controller. You can already assume that a save method is called in order to save the data, to save the specific to save the specific tacos to the taco order and the ingredients as well. So yeah. So then basically this method map row to ingredient is just gonna convert a database into an ingredient object. So that's what that does. So that's how ingredient repository and JDBC ingredient repository work. Then we have order repository. This is defining methods that gonna help us interact with the database with regards to saving an order and finding a specific order, like I did over here when I found my specific order here, right? So that's what this interface defines. And in order to implement that, we have our JDBC order repository over here. So it's implementing this order repository interface like I described now. We declare this constructor. Then over here is the save method, right? So this save method, what's it saving? It's gonna save a taco order, right? So in order to save a taco order, we have to use the taco order model, of which we basically imported over here. So that is referring to this, and this is the structure of our data for a taco order. As you can see, the delivery name, delivery street, city, all the way to all the details for the taco order and credit card details for that. So so it here we're saving the data, right, and saving the taco order. In order to save the taco order, this object is defined prepared statement creator factory. So that is basically imported here. This is what interacts with our database in order to save or insert data, to declare an SQL insert statement to insert the taco order basically into our database. So you can see what we're inserting is all the details for the taco order, from delivery name all the way to the credit card details and the date. And this is the type of data that the database takes in. So varchar, timestamp, and all of that. Then here we're setting the timestamp for when the order was placed. So it sets the date of the order. This is gonna build the actual prepared statement with the values. So all of this data is all the values that is taken in. Here is gonna save each taco that belongs to this specific order. So each taco that was designed and that belongs to a specific order. So for instance, you can see the tacos that are designed here, and it has the taco order over here and over here. So making that relation, it uses that for loop to loop through tacos and save the taco based off the order ID. Then this is saving a taco and links it to a specific order. So in order to link the specific taco that was designed, that I designed at first, to a specific order, the save taco order method runs. And we have this prepared statement creator factory object, and within parentheses we declare the SQL insert statement to insert what the specific taco that was created. So all its details, it's inserted into the database. Then here we have save ingredients refs. This is saving each ingredient reference for a taco. Then here, this find by ID method is gonna find one specific taco. If we wanna retrieve one specific taco, we find it by its ID. So you can see here, we use a select statement for that, of course. Then we have find tacos by order ID, which is gonna find all the tacos that belong to a specific order, right? To a specific order that was made, essentially. And then this find ingredients by taco ID is gonna find all the ingredients IDs for a specific taco. So you can see this SQL query here where it says select ingredients from ingredient ref, where the taco order is equal to a specific taco ID, and then we order it by the taco key. So yeah, that's how the JDBC order repository works in order to interact with the database, to retrieve data and all of that, and save data. Then you have the raw JDBC ingredient repository. So this is just a class that implements the ingredient repository using raw JDBC calls. It manually opens connections, prepares statements, and maps results by hand, and exists mainly to show how much cleaner the JDBC template makes the code. So yeah, you can see the find all method. It's gonna find all the ingredients and so on. So that's basically how the repositories work. They interact with the database to retrieve data and so on. So then we also have controllers over here, design controller, auto controller, and all of that. So controllers receive HTTP requests and they're gonna talk to the repositories. So I wanna make this link because the controllers is actually handling the logic, right? Handling the requests that are made, and while it's handling those requests, it interacts with the repository. So it calls specific methods in the repositories in order to save data, retrieve data, and all of that, right? So, for instance, in our design Taco controller, let's say when we're done designing a taco, right? Post request is made, and then process taco method runs. So what does it do? It's gonna basically call this add taco method and save the taco order, right? And redirects us to the orders page. So yeah, then same with order controller. Post when you basically make an order, post request runs, and the process order method is called, which basically saves the order to the order repo, which is declared here, and we use the order repository to what? To basically save that data to the order repo. So you can see now here it's using the order repository, which we explained here, to what? To use this method in order to save data to the database. So that's just how the controller interacts with the repository code as well. Then we have our templates, home HTML, design, and order, to show all the data in the front end, and configurations. So with our configurations, we have applications.properties. This is storing our database setup, server ports, and logging. So let's see. Where's that declared again? Here. So application properties, we can see here the name of the application, the URL in order to interact with the database, right? So this is the URL we place. So like I showed here, the specific URL in order to access the interface that interacts with our database. And then the name, username, and all of that. So that stores all that important data to configure our application. We have our schema.sql and our data.sql. The actual methods are placed within the actual statements, let me say, placed within these files. So you can see here data.sql for all the ingredients. You can see insert ingredients, and all the ingredients are inserted in the application, so we have ingredients to work with. So you can see the ID, the name, and the type of ingredient, and it inserts all those ingredients essentially. Then the schema SQL, which sets up our table for taco order, sets up our table for the taco, ingredient ref, alters the taco table, and alters the ingredient ref table. Yeah. And that's basically how the code works in terms of interacting with the database using the repository files, and all the methods within the repositories that interact with the database. So that's JDBC essentially. And the interface itself is directly helping us select statements, select specific data, like if we want the order, like I showed, then it shows the specific order that was made today, and it shows the dates as well and all of that. So yeah, that's a summary of chapter 3 of Spring Framework.